we all think that by placing your pistol on the edge of the performance, you'll do better at the range. And
Hmm.
it's not true. Most likely, a factory gun out of the box is more than enough.
I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. All right, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Tipton, Secureit, BuildBox, Smith & Wesson, RCBS, CZ USA, Range Ready, Franklin Armory, and Colt. So today on Gun Talk Nation, all the way across the pond, he's probably ready to go to sleep. He's over in France. Eric Grauffel, welcome in, man.
Thanks a lot for having me on your show.
So I'm going to give the people just a little background on you, Eric. Eric, you're a pro shooter working with CZ USA, a French pro shooter, firearms instructor, 8 overall IPSC handgun world champion titles, a junior world title. He's won an unprecedented 191 IPSC president medals, which I don't know how you do that. You haven't been alive long enough to do that, I don't think. But started out at shooting at air guns at the age of 8. Age of 10, he shot his first pistol. Within a year, he was competing. Won his first French national championship at age 15 and first world title at 18. So, Eric, you just really like shooting pistols, right?
I am definitely a pistol shooter. I shot quite a lot of rounds, I must say, several millions by now.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a little bit of rifle, 3 guns, shotgun. I'm clearly not good at long guns. I like it, but it's definitely not my thing. It's a different, it's like probably racing cars. You got the Formula One drivers and you have rally drivers or NASCAR
Mm-hmm.
drivers. I mean, they can be good, but when you become specific, you are within your skill range. So yeah, pistol is really my history.
That's a great topic for us to kind of talk about a little bit, is because it really is a different discipline. I mean, you could say I'm a very good pistol shooter, but we say, okay, Eric, here's a bolt action. We're going to shoot some long range stuff. It's not that you're necessarily going to be bad at it, but it's just a different skill set. It's a different trigger press. It's a different sight picture and all that, right?
Well, it's different knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I mean, shooting rifle, 100 yards, 200 yards, so far, I'd say everybody can do it. But crossing the 200 yards distance and further out, that's really another skill set, knowledge. You have to know all the ballistic. You have to know exactly how you load. You have to take all the data in consideration, the wind, light exposure, bullet weight. Yeah,
Yeah.
unless you practice it properly and you have the range for that. Uh, but it's not my case. We in France, in Europe, we have a lot of pistol ranges. We have some, of course, decent rifle ranges across here, Europe, but not so many. So it's hard to really train those guns, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I know I find that if I'm doing a lot of pistol shooting, like, faster, I'm not a speed shooter necessarily, but trying to shoot faster, that's just a different sight picture and trigger press than shooting rifles where they don't want you to quickly reset the trigger, right?
Yep.
Or shooting shotguns, wing shooting, where they're saying whatever you do, don't have a good front sight focus. No, no, no. Look at the bird, look at the clay, and
Yep.
so it's just these different disciplines that are all fun, but they require you physically and mentally to do different things.
And you find that also in the pistol, just crossing through practical shooting, iron sights and optic divisions. Already you have like 2 types of processing the sight picture between the sight focus and the target focus. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have the some sort of in between focus, like between the target, between the front sight that people are also trying. Some are shooting, target focus also with front sights, which for some of the shooters it works. I would say most of the people it doesn't. Even
Mhm.
though they have the feeling it looks fine, but when it comes to take an accurate shot,
Right.
it's a different story. So, and we all know, no matter which shooting discipline you do, what matters is to take the right shot at the right time, and that does really matter in competition.
Talk about that because I imagine, are you shooting in optics divisions these days, or are you shooting iron sights?
A little bit both, back and
Okay.
forth, back and forth.
Okay.
Most likely, getting to an age, I'll have to turn to optic. At some point, I can start feeling that my focus on the front side is not as clear, not as fast as it could be or it was a couple of years back. But I still like it. So yeah, back and forth.
Yeah, that's a good point, Eric. Is shooting is a lifetime sport. It's one of the reasons why it's so great. Is you can shoot guns from the age of 5 to 85 and enjoy
Hmm.
it, but eyesight is a definitely a big factor, especially in pistol shooting, and we kind of have to grow and change as our eyes change. There's a lot of people that are switching over to shooting a red dot from shooting irons, whether that's just because they want to do it because it's faster, but or maybe it's because they have to because your eyes are changing. Talk about, you kind of mentioned it a little bit there, but I'd love for you to expand on the sight picture and target focused. You're looking at the target, and do you let the dot just kind of superimpose there, and then kind of train yourself to switch over? Because usually with iron sights, we're saying let the target blur out and have a hard focus on this sight.
Well, basically, what I like to say and what I do is I use the front side focus. So like clear front side, use the post. I have fiber also on the front side, but I don't use the fiber. And I'll explain. I'll use the fiber in some certain cases, but basically use the post within the rear side. The post is clear. The front side is blurry, and then I can deliver the shot basically any distance. And that's more or less based on how difficult is the shot. So the definition is of a difficult shot is like very personal from one person to another. And when it comes to an easier shot, usually closer distance, bigger targets, then I'll move and I switch to target focus. Target focus using the front sight, using the fiber. So basically, what happens is switching to a dot or RDS system,
Mm-hmm.
kind of with an iron sight pistol, using the fiber within the window of your rear sight. And if the fiber is somewhere in there, just break the shot. But that's called on an easier shot. So what's the definition of an easy shot or not? Uh, Personally, up to 7, 8 meters open board, I can use, target focus using the fiber. Further than 8 meters, front sight focus. So I make a clear distinction of post or fiber because it means two different setup, two different kind of aiming, we can say it.
Hmm. It sounds to me almost like a race car driver where you're running the gas and the brake pedal depending on the distance and the accuracy that's required.
Correct. So you make an assumption of, when you see the board, you're coming into the board, that's an easy shot, focus on the board, clear it, move to the next one. You're coming in and it's close distance board, target with a no shoot on it, like half board or even quarter of a board. Even if it's super short, 5 yards, it still
Mhm.
becomes me and hard shot. So in that case, then I'll use the front side focus. So the post period.
Okay.
One eye close, front side focus. When it comes to fiber, both eyes open, target focus.
I mean, you've shot both. Do you have a preference if someone was getting into pistol shooting? Would you tell them to go ahead and start shooting with a red dot sight right away? Or would you say learn to use the irons?
I like to say for new guys to start with an iron, at least for your time,
Hmm.
uh, because it's really the alignment that you need to get high, rear sight, front sight target. So you get the 4 points to align. And basically, it teaches you the patience. When it comes to red dot, it becomes, of course, much easier, much faster because you have only three dots to align, the eye,
Mm-hmm.
dot, and the target. So, of course, you see it sooner. And most likely, you learn impatience. So people shoot like faster. They might miss, they will miss. And then also at the end, by doing that, they start slapping the trigger or jerking the trigger. And coming back from that, it's super, super, super hard. So
Eric,
if
I
you
don't know what you're talking about. I've never slapped a trigger in my life. We've never done that.
everyone does at some point, but you see what I mean. So it's easier if you teach for a certain period of time. That part, yes, it's a little bit hard. It's maybe not so funny. It doesn't have to be like kind of I'll say racist in the sense that you need to do that for 2, 3, 5 years. Because I heard that some clubs they do that. No, you're gonna shoot hair pistol for a year, and then you're gonna shoot 22 for another year, and then maybe you can shoot 9 mm. That's like
Oh, wow.
doesn't make sense. But at least teaching the proper, uh, aiming first. I would say the aiming could be done optic, of course, and iron, but the process, the patience that it takes to deliver the shot wherever you want it to be, then it's easy to move on and to a dot and gain speed. The
Mm-hmm.
opposite, it's not that simple. Slowing down, it's hard work.
Yeah. And I could see how there would be value in grooving your mechanics and your natural point of aim with the irons because you really do have to line up the gun and have kind of a natural straight point on that. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
good point. Let's do this. After this break, I want to talk about how you train and a couple tips for regular shooters. You know that Silencer Central makes it easy to buy silencers, but they also have their whole line of Banish suppressors, and the newest one is the Banish Speed K TI. TI for titanium. Extremely lightweight and compact. This is a really cool ultra compact 223 556 dedicated silencer. Weighs only 8.6 ounces. It's 4 inches long, and it has controlled flow technology. We have used this on the range. We've been impressed at how light it is, doesn't change the weight and balance of the gun, and also still very quiet. The Banish Speed K TI from Silencer Central. For cleaning or maintenance, the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 sets the benchmark. The ball head accommodates any conceivable configuration. Swappable jaw pads optimize the grip on your gun without the risk of marring. To see the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 in action, visit tiptonclean.com. Range Ready is where we run our classes, rangereadystudios.com. So go over there to check out the classes and events that we have going on. These things go fast. Another little known thing about Range Ready is we will provide you a pistol if you need one for running a class or even an AR. But there's no charge for that. We don't rent you a gun and there's an upcharge. It's just available for your use. So it's a pretty cool deal. Go check it out, rangereadystudios.com. Colt revolvers stand the test of time, and they've added more to the lineup. The Colt Grizzly is a rugged .357 Magnum 6-shot revolver featuring stainless steel construction and adjustable sights. The Colt Kodiak is your ultimate companion for big game hunting or backcountry carry in .44 Magnum with a 4¼ inch ported barrel. See the Colt revolver line at Colt.com. The new Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 bridges the gap between a gun that's easy to carry and one that's easy to shoot. Small and lightweight at only 9.8 ounces, but plenty of .380 auto with 10 and 12 round magazines. See the new Bodyguard at smith-wesson.com. All right, Eric, you stated that you've shot millions of rounds in training. How do you train, and how has your training changed over the years?
Well, the training has to change over the year just because the techniques changes. Also, you have the way people are building stages are changing. We used to have in Europe a lot of short distance shoots, not much movers pre 2000, and now it's very common to have a lot of moving targets, a lot of medium far distance shooting. So we had to change the way we train, the way we prepare, where we can gain time, and where we need to invest time. So we had to change that into the training, in the format. So the way you prep yourself, what you do in the training. Also, the other stuff I like to do in training, it's the non-repetition of the sequence. The reason
Explain that.
is the reason is in practical shooting, you get a chance once. You get one attempt, it's done well, good for you. It's done bad, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you as well, let's say. And a lot of people, they like to track records. They like to say, "Oh, I want to see my improvement, and I want to see how I do." And usually when I explain that in the training, for example, you do one exercise, you did it in 10 seconds, and then of course you want to repeat it. You repeat the second time, third time, after a couple of times more, 9 seconds, few more times, 8 seconds, and then by, let's say, an hour and a half doing it, you broke 6.5. And like you have the feeling, damn, fantastic. I did it well. I really learned it. I'm could be even, why not, world champion. I'm a world champion today because I achieved that score. The real
So you'll
question
run
is
the same course of fire over and over and over in a training session?
never, but people do. And what happens? So after doing it over and over and over, they mastered a certain time, a certain score, which gives a fantastic feeling of achievement. But did you really learn something? Most likely, that exact same run, you take it 2 days later, you will never do the 6.5. You would be lucky if you achieve 9 seconds. You'd be lucky. The reason is the way the brain works when you do reps like this, you will identify your mistakes, right? So whatever was good, you'll store it into your subconscious. And now you will focus on your mistake. So of course, you will improve them because now you're dedicating more power, more energy on those. By the time that you run the second time, third time, you improve here, you move that also to the subconscious, and you will improve, smaller details until you reach that final score. But
Well,
it means also that you were not able to anticipate those mistakes way ahead and see them
right.
coming.
Eric,
So
it reminds me of you saying that you have to be able to walk up to a stage, and you don't get to run that stage 6 or 7 times. You have to run it the one time. It reminds me of Chuck Adams, the professional archer hunter, who he would go out every day and shoot one arrow into a deer target because he says I'll hunt for 4 days or 5 days and never shoot a shot. And when that big deer walks out, I have one shot that I have to make.
not two, just one.
That's right.
But that's the exact same theory. So basically, the way I run too in the training is I set up an exercise. I'm working on whatever skill you want, but based on my first run, my next one has to be different. I'll still work the same skill set I want to work that day now, but I'm not running the same sequence, meaning that I can't even track what I'm doing. Is it good? It's not good. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where competition will tell me if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing by bringing me the result. But at that point, I have to deal with organizing the sequence, organizing my technique to make sure I can deliver a performance that suits my abilities as it is today.
It almost kind of sounds like if you're doing that, you're making sure your technique, your grip and your sight picture and your trigger press and all those things are very good, independent of what the stage is. I don't care what the stage is. but I'm doing these things, the things that I can control the right way. Is that how you look at it?
Plus minus, yes. Plus,
Okay.
also on top of that, I try to identify my potential mistakes. So basically on an exercise, I try to identify one, two, up to three, I would say major mistakes that I can potentially do. So I anticipate the future and I prepped already an answer to that mistake in case it happened. So that it
Okay.
becomes more or less from an external point of view polished in some
Right.
ways. Mistakes happen, but the guy from the outside won't see it.
Yeah. Now you're a speed shooter, and I think everybody likes to be able to shoot faster, especially when you talk about, like the gun you've got behind you, the CZP09 Nocturne. I mean, these are like really cool race gun type guns that, I mean, that's why to me, that's why somebody owns one of these things. I want to be able to go bing, 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 bing. Do you have any tips or tricks for anyone listening of like, hey, I would love to be able to shoot faster? Are there particular things that they could do, or certain things that people, mistakes people make when they're trying to shoot like that?
Well, so I brought two of my guns for those who are watching. So one is a optic ready gun. The other one is just a regular production. So both of them Shadow 2s. A lot of people are trying to tune their gun in a certain way, so the gun cycle kind of faster. So trying to reduce the recoil spring, trying to change the bullet head's weight, hoping that the gun will flip less in their hands based on, I would say, their grip, position, stance, how they are. I'm more into it doesn't really matter whatever the gun moves, if it moves plus minus one way or the other. What matters for me is to be able to do the thing sooner. So sooner meaning in the sense, prep my trigger again. So re-engage the trigger, get ready on the wall, and be ready on the sight picture ASAP. That will be my main concern. Now, the gun will move, that's for sure. What does matter also is that I need to guarantee that the gun cycles properly. And if it cycles too soft because I changed my recoil spring for a too light spring,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it might have a wrong feeling into your hand one day or the other because maybe your grip is not as good or your thumb is touching the slide, so you may jam the gun. Also, too light recoil spring means a potential damage on your pistol because the gun will cycle faster. So there you improve, you increase, sorry, you don't improve, you increase the risk of breakage where on the slide stop and on your extractor
It's slamming too hard.
because it's slamming too hard, but also it's opening sooner. So the peak of pressure
Oh,
is
sure.
not the peak of pressure of your ammo is not yet reached when the slides start moving backward. So you're putting extra power on the extra force on your extractor. So the risk is breakage. And of course, if you break your extractor, you can imagine what happened in competition. It's a nightmare.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I think a lot of people don't think about there is actually a little bit of dwell time from all of these things happening, the hammer following and igniting the primer, which ignites the powder, and the bullet has to leave the case and go through the barrel, and then the slide's going to start traveling, right? But you don't want it to travel so soon. I mean, is that kind of what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
So
And
you get
yeah,
that.
when you start messing with stuff, I'm kind of I understand aftermarket can make things very nice, but you're always at risk. I mean, when your CZ pistol shows up, I promise CZ knows it runs great, but when you're like, you know what, I'm going to change out a spring. Like, wait a minute.
And it
Good
does
luck.
happen for every brand. I mean, people
Sure.
are trying to play the line because It's hard to say. We all think that by placing your pistol on the edge of the performance, you'll do better at the range. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not true. Most likely, a factory gun out of the box is more than enough for you to perform directly in competition. Of course, in a certain limit, if you go with polymer guns, I'm not super fan of polymers. Too light, and it's harder for me, I think, to control versus a steel frame pistol. But any sport gun that you take out from the box is, I'd say, for 99.9% of the guys, including me, good enough to go and compete straight.
Yeah.
But of course, I also believe that if tuning the pistol the way you want, the way you like it, it makes you shoot even better because you like the way you tune it. You like the way it feels. And it has also some importance to, how to say it, kind of get in love with
Mm-hmm.
your pistol.
And it fitting it to you as a shooter. Um, well, this is great. All right. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna talk more about why the industry is getting to. You mentioned it: steel guns, aluminum frames. You know, the polymers are still a thing, but there's a reason why there are all these gun companies going to that. CZ's probably a big reason for that. We'll talk about these beautiful guns and why there's such a fandom for them. SecuritGunStorage.com. We talk about Securit because they make just really cool products. And we have a bunch of them here. We have the lockers, we have some of their agile safes. And when people come into Gun Talk headquarters, we often get that question of like, ooh, what's these? They're all stacked up and it's like a cool wall of storage for your guns and your gear. But they do a good job of providing a lot of different options for storing your goods, gun walls, accessories, and you can kind of customize the configuration inside to really maximize the space for what you want it to work for. So you can learn more over at securitgunstorage.com. Save on CZ firearms with the CZ Fall Rebate. Receive up to a $100 rebate on select CZ firearms from now through December 31st. Learn more about the CZ Fall Rebate at cz-usa.com. Enter to win the Ultimate Builder Giveaway presented by BuildBox. Here's your chance to win from over 100 incredible prizes from top brands like Caldwell, Real Avid, Wheeler Tools, Brownells, Aero Precision, Timney Triggers, Ballistic Advantage, EOTech, and Tipton, and even more. You can also win guns built on the show. Don't miss out. Visit BuildBoxTV.com to enter and gear up for your next build. Franklin Armory binary triggers just got an upgrade, the new AR Elite trigger. Of course, the binary firing system is a 3-position trigger. You can safe, you can fire it semi-auto, but in the 3rd position, it fires 1 round on pull and 1 round on release. Now, the new AR Elite trigger comes with premium features, including interchangeable trigger bows. So you can choose between a curved trigger or a straight flat face trigger. Also easy to install, straight, smooth trigger pull, 4.5 pounds plus or minus a half pound. Positive reset. So go check it out, franklinarmory.com. So Eric, you made me smile when you said, polymer guns, not necessarily a big fan. Obviously, your use case is pretty specific in your competition world, and most competitors like a heavier gun. The CZs have this rabid following, especially people who are shooting in IPSC, USPSA type competitions. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's maybe from the generation of people. It could be, I don't know. There's plenty different ways to say it. What is for sure is a steel frame pistol. It's on the long run, on long session training, way more comfortable to shoot because it bounces clearly less at the end of the day. However, to carry it all day long, it's not the thing because
Right.
I can show you Well, that's the demo gun I have for here. It's the PO9 Nocturne C.
That's the
That,
compact
that
model.
gun, yeah, that gun was an optic sight, and also the light compared to this one. Pretty much, I can take three PO9 for the same weight of this one.
Really?
Yeah. So it's really different. Even though I'd say polymer frame gun, it shoots pretty well. Now, in those days, they really did a lot of improvements, and we work hard. The PO9 is honestly a great gun. I was super fan of the P10. Uh, I'm shooting this one from time to time. This one is actually 10 times better than the P10, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, the
Really?
feeling, the trigger, they really did a lot of work on the trigger reset on that PO9 Nocturne. It's definitely a great gun to start shooting for any newbie shooter. You don't want to put too much money to get started. You don't know what to buy. It's great to get started. But of course, the more you'll turn into IPSC USPSA style, necessarily people will turn into either the aluminum frame or even the steel frames for an heavier gun, because basically your training sessions are fairly short, an hour, 2 hours max. So you don't have to carry your gun too long, and you will see the difference from, from carrying it and shooting it,
Right.
between being sore and being sore and being tired. That's two different things. You can be tired, that's fine, but when it comes to get sore, it's different story when it comes to shoot. So if your hands become painful because you shoot 500, 600 rounds, and you have
Mhm.
to, put a lot more efforts physically to control that gun in order to, get the cycle done and be ready to fire again. That's not the same effort than a sport pistol.
Would you say that there's a risk if you're shooting a lot or you're shooting a gun that maybe is kind of hurting you, beating you up a little bit, and you're pushing through that because you're stubborn? And is there a risk of you're overcompensating somewhere, grooving bad habits, or something like that?
You don't have to be stubborn on a pistol that hurts your hand. It does already. For myself, I see a lot of tension. I mean, when I see the doctors, they tell me, "Hey, man, your right side shoulder, there's a lot of things. You blocked here, you blocked there. You're already, the body is already adjusted somehow."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using soft guns. Of course, I shoot a lot, but using softer pistol versus that. So no matter what your body, and that's what the human does, you will adapt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nothing,
for
to do-
sure.
nothing you can do about it.
Well, and certainly when we're talking about soft shooting guns, heavier guns, more fun to shoot. I mean, it's always when you go from kind of a plain Jane, even maybe a polymer concealed carry type gun to something like, the what you guys do with the Scorpions or the 75s. These are just fun guns to shoot, and
100%.
they're easier to shoot. They have great triggers. Low recoil impulse. Those things. Um, I've gotten to shoot some of these like the CZ Shadow 2, the orange gun, or these are when you shoot these guns, every person who shoots them goes, "Oh my gosh!" And then you kind of go, "I wonder how fast I can shoot this because I can shoot this thing. I can run this thing." It's like getting into a race car versus your Ford Taurus.
The question is, how far can you push it?
Right.
It's always, that's always the key. And
Right.
it's true. You would try, and you would try within a striker fire pistol. You would try with like a regular hammer fired polymer gun. Then you take an aluminum frame, and it for those who are in the in between. And you mentioned the aluminum earlier, but we got the compact. the CZ Compact Shadow 2, and we got, and those are aluminum frames. So we have an in between a light one and something that you can use for sport. It's, the good mix where you can do a little bit of everything, but at the end, you're still there when it comes to the final stage of your performance in the sport. Of course, you reach the limit because the other guys will use maybe the same gun, slightly heavier, with a slightly longer barrel, which will have a little bit of better cycling, and not necessarily that you're not as good as them. The only thing is maybe because of their setup, they are able to perform the next shot slightly sooner than you. And everything
Sooner.
that you do, exactly, not faster, sooner. Because I don't like people are racing for speed, I want to shoot fast. I want to be faster. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the point. Get sooner. And this is where it becomes the breaking edge of, okay, now I need to make a choice. What do I really need? And and that's what we try to do in my store, for example, when people are coming to buy products. We're like, they coming in, in the store and like, I want to buy this gun. Sure. But what are you going to do with it? So instead of, they want to buy this to do whatever they want, we try to really orientate more, okay, what's the end goal of using that gun? Do you want to shoot steel challenge? Do you want to shoot target precision shooting? Do you want to shoot IPSC? So we can, push them to the right direction. For two reasons. First of all, here back in Europe, most of the guns are more expensive than in the US. That's one thing. So we don't want to people, be disappointed because they make the wrong choice. So we try to guide them. And second, we have limited amount of pistols. So by the regulation, depending which country you are in Europe, but for example, France, we get 15 pistols. So it's a
15.
lot.
That's all you can own?
15 per head, per person.
Okay.
So it's a lot, but it's not a lot. So if you're really into shooting, you like this shooting sport, and you want to do this discipline, shooting different pistol, and then you start shooting competition. So you need 3 guns for that competition. So of course it goes super quick.
Sure. Now,
So
Eric, if just because I'm curious, I mean, if you owned 15 pistols and you wanted to buy one, do you have to sell one?
yeah, exactly. You need to get rid of one.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, we don't understand. He's
But I tell you something. Suppressors for us, we don't need license, not like you
right.
guys.
That's right.
So, see,
That's right.
so
So
rules are
I
different.
wanted to, before I forget it, I wanted to go back to aluminum frames, and I think it was an interesting subject. So tell me if I'm on track with this. So somebody's like, hey, I'm not super familiar with what that would do for me. It would be similar in weight to a polymer gun, but a more rigid frame. Is that about right?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. So it does that feeling of having a steel gun, but it does react way closer to a polymer frame gun
Hmm.
in the sense that the gun bounces a little bit more and the kick is a little bit harder into your hand, no matter what
Gotcha.
the grip is at the end of the day.
Gotcha.
And it might also affect, like you see on my pistol, for example, I'm using brass grips just to have, counterweight on the backside.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's more central or neutral in terms of weight balance. When you have a polymer gun, plus if you put, suppressors and lights, tendency is that it does work forward.
Sure.
And that actually, creates some strength here on your wrist and your forearm that you don't have that much with an heavier gun. It's, yes, heavier on the arm when you wear it, when you aim the target, but it's also actually less stressful for your forearm and your hand to have it pointing down the range on the target.
That's an interesting because you'll hear people talk about the nice balance of a over and under shotgun, or even a balance of a rifle, and they're holding it on the magazine or right on the receiver, and like, oh, look how nicely this balances. But I don't think you hear about that as much in the pistol world, but certainly you look at every single thing when it comes to competition. So a nicely balanced pistol can actually make it more comfortable to shoot. You're not fighting the gun, perhaps.
Correct. That's right. And if you look at the race guns, open pistols for USPSA, a long time ago, 2000, early 2000 and pre 2000, we had like pretty long pistols.
Mm.
And bit by bit, we got them shorter. So less weight in the front, more neutral, heavier grips. We had some manufacturer went for titanium frames in order to rebalance the weight differently. So the tendency was really more into balancing the pistol in order, once again, not to say shoot faster, to shoot sooner and have faster time at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's great. So Eric, as we kind of wrap this up, do you have any guns right right now from CZ that you're really excited about, or kind of your favorites of the day?
Well, that's the new one that is out now for a couple of months. I don't have also the new one. Maybe you guys have seen it. We just started the promo of the new Shadow 2 target. It's really made for us in Europe. We have a lot of pistol discipline for bullseye shooting, one hand,
Okay,
25,
right.
25 yards and 50 yards. I believe also a lot of people will like it in the US, especially the 6 inch. If you back from the 90s, we had all these 1911 Colt 6 inch long slide stuff. So
Yep.
that was a period of time. So this will be an excellent pistol. I'm supposed to have it. It's next week, hopefully, or in 2 weeks' time. So I would have been glad to show it to you, but you can check it online. Those are the new stuff. Um, and also, if you're looking at this one, we have now the Shadow 2 Orange that is coming with the back serrations. A lot of people were waiting for that. So it has been done already.
Awesome, awesome
And
gun.
hopefully, I'll just give you a quick hint for those who are shooting limited optics in the US. We're working on getting you guys TS2 optic ready. So stay tuned. We're going to have that hopefully by 2025.
Awesome. Well, that's all good news, Eric. This has been fun. Thanks for spending a little time with us.
Pleasure, pleasure. And thank you for hosting me in the show. As you said, now it's the end of the day for me. So I'm going to wrap up and go watch my daughter ride the horse because she does compete also. So we got the boys competing in the firearms and
Great.
we got girls horse riding. So now I'm starting my fastest life day.
Awesome. Well, good. Well, and I'll be thinking about it. Hopefully everybody else listening to this will think about sooner, getting on the trigger sooner, get on the sights sooner, get on that target sooner, which
That's
will
awesome.
make you faster.
At the end of the day, if you do everything sooner with the right amount of patience, you'll be faster.
I love it. All right, that's it for us, guys. We will see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.